everybody. I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, normally, this would be the part where I'd say major spoiler alert ahead, but we are on the road to Deadpool and Wolverine, and along that road, we are rewatching all of the past X-Men movies and Deadpool movies, and this is a movie. We are going to be rewatching X-Men Origins Wolverine. So, without further ado, let's start the show!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, join in with me to break down the good, the bad, and the ugly of X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's Jon Jon Rico!
Nice. I like what you did there.
Right?
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
I was thinking of it during the intro. I was like, what can I say here? But it is true. We've got some goods, we've got some bads, and we have
a lot of ugly.
Some ugly.
Yeah.
But getting right into it, I'm going to start off with probably the biggest win from this movie. We get our very first appearance of Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson, which, perfect casting. And we were talking about this before the thing started, where this was one of those situations where an actor actually asked for the part. We had Ryan Reynolds actually ask.
The only other person was Wesley Snipes for Blade. So that's a pretty esteemed company for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And they ended up being in a Blade movie together. But anyway.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, they sure did.
That was a movie too.
Reynolds' superhero run was not off to a great start. And it didn't get better.
Green Lantern, anyway, I will say this though. He single-handedly keeps the sass streak going.
Thank you, sir. You look really nice today. It's the green. Brings out the seriousness in your eyes.
Oh my God, you ever shut up, pal?
No, not when I'm awake.
With pretty much every line from him.
He weighs it up for sure.
Spot on. Like, this was basically his audition for, late. Like, obviously, we're in the future now, and we know, like, it was perfect casting. We get
hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, we get Deadpool 1, we get Deadpool 2. Amazing movies that we're, on the road towards now, and we can't wait to get to Deadpool and Wolverine. That movie coming out later this summer. But yeah, talk about a bright spot of in a horrible situation. But
and even then, I don't even know if you consider like his rendition of that character a bright spot, because the whole reason that we get the Deadpool we have now is because of how less than revered that this version was.
Well, I'm not even
Wade is Wade. Yeah, Wade is great. Yes.
Wade is great. And we even get to see like a demonstration of his ability, which was really cool too. Like that scene, the elevator scene is funny because of the Wade sass. But then when you get out of the elevator and he's like spinning his swords, and where he actually
for propeller blades.
Yeah, and he slices the one bullet in half and it hits two people at the same time. Like that's cool. Like that. Like I said, there are some bright spots in this movie. Yeah, and that's definitely like
helicopter spin into the double stab, which is interesting. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So I'm trying to I'm accenting the positives right now. But that was obviously one of my favorite parts. It was my first experience of Wade Wilson, because I I've said in past recaps, I didn't really come from the comic book background, right. And then and before these movies came out, so I remember watching this and going, oh, I really like that character that Ryan Reynolds is playing, and then at the end of the movie I was like, oh, well, that's too bad. Not knowing that that was just a throwaway, and Wade Wilson really is Deadpool. Like that was how little comic book knowledge I had at that time.
Right.
For that. But yeah, I'm very happy. And now pretty much the only physical comics that I have are Deadpool comics. Like I have started a small collection of Deadpool.
I got you some.
You got me.
Yeah.
You got me a couple really cool compendium books for
Mhm.
Deadpool, and those are awesome. I love those. I have them right on my bookshelf. And then one of my older roommates used to work at a comic book wholesaler and got me for my birthday one year just like a stack of just random Deadpool. And then he also got me the very first 4 issues of Deadpool, like the miniseries, the very first 4
Oh, cool.
sets. Yeah, he got me that as a collection too for my birthday one year, and it was awesome. I still have those. I have them in like special packet type of thing. Yeah. So shout out to my old roommate. Thank you so much for
Neat.
those, and to you for also getting me Deadpool stuff. Devil Comics, you're helping me out there. And now I have a friend that works at a comic book store, so my wallet is going to be screaming at me because I'm definitely going to start diving into more physical
Yes,
comics and stuff.
it's quite the habit.
So now that we've gotten some of the good out of the way, I did want to bring up one thing that I consider the ugly, just with a question. The fuck's going on with Wolverine's claws in this movie? Like, and I don't mean like, oh, bone claws to adamantium claws. I mean, in X-Men 1 through 3, they don't look bad. Like, I get it. We're working, I have to suspend some disbelief in those because they're early comic book movies. But they don't look bad. In this, they look they look like after like effects, not even like finished effects type of thing. Like you know what I mean? Like it looks like that was like their early draft, and they were just like, yeah, just go with it.
Right, like they still have to be polished up.
Right.
Yeah,
Because they
for
don't
sure.
even in the
I
back.
feel like it's like the kind of the beginning of like them using like a lot of CG in these movies
Right.
because you remember those early comic movies. There's a lot of like practicality in some of the shots that they're using. Even in this one, like in the way they shoot some of the action shots, like there's a lot of camera cuts to make it look a lot as practical as they can, where because we're not using CGI kind of enhanced fight
Right.
scenes and stuff like that. But here they're like, let's just make the blades look as pretty as we can with CGI for some reason. And I guess because, and you can kind of see it later on in the scenes when they're used and the way that they're used too. I guess like that's probably why. But even then, you're just like, oh, this does not look right.
Ooh. I mean, I would have been just as happy. Like if they wanted to really work in CG, like do it on the close-ups of the hand when the claws are coming in and out, but then use practical claws that they were using more in the past for like the bigger shots. Like when he like strikes the ground to blow up the helicopter, I don't even think anything hit the ground. And in the bathroom scene with the claws, like
That's so goofy. It's like they were trying to do the Peter Parker thing and the like where
right.
his hands get stuck to stuff. Like that's not Wolverine.
Right. Exactly. But
He's
yeah.
had the claws forever. Like he's had the bone claws. Like I think he would know how
Yeah.
to handle them.
Yeah.
And even then, the bone claws don't look that bad either. It's almost like the CGI went more into the bone claws than it did for the actual like steel claws, which it's a whole thing. It's weird.
Yeah, it's really strange because, like, yeah, just like you said, I didn't even think of that. The bone claws really don't look bad. I am almost wondering if the bone claws were more practical effect. Like, obviously not when you see them kind of coming out of the skin when he's really little and you can see them like almost
Mhm.
moving through the underneath the skin. I obviously know that that's CGI, but like when they're actually out and he's older, like maybe they are using more practical ones, but
Yeah,
they were
maybe
like,
just so that he can at least like kind of invoke the feel of it while he's acting with it, because you know he does that for the other movie. We see like behind the scenes shots of him doing that with the movies, I think too. But yeah, for sure.
yeah, I just really had to point that out. I mean, Hugh Jackman as Logan Wolverine, it's incredible casting, and so I really like this actor and I really like this character, and so I just don't know. Very poor choices went into this movie for this to make me want to say what the fuck about something of a character that I really like.
Yeah, and to your point, he is also a shining light in this movie. I would say like
Yeah.
his performance in this is fun. Like he's still Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I think
Right.
just giving him that full on time to shine is really great. And he's given not a lot to work with, and he makes the most of it for sure. And I think he makes it a worthwhile watch at least for that reason.
Yeah, and I mean, look, nothing against him, nothing
Oh
against
yeah,
his character or anything like that. I mean,
this is
there
all
are
on the people who made it.
yeah, just like you said, there are definitely shining moments from him in this movie. It's not like, I was going to call out another movie. It's not like one of the Sony movies that are currently out. But it just doesn't it just kind of all falls apart. Like there are some moments that I enjoy in this movie, and I'll bring more up in takeaways and characters I enjoy in this movie and stuff like that. So it's not all at a loss, but it's just very weird mixture of not good and a couple of good moments type of thing. But Rico, before I get too far into it, what are some of your instant reactions to this movie?
Yeah, it's weird to think that this movie is post Iron Man, which came out a year before that too, right? Like
Yeah.
we're starting to see this upswing in the quality of comic book movies, but like here it's X-Men Origins with like this. It still feels like we're in like the 2006, 2007 kind of era of movies. And it feels like it took all the mistakes of X-Men: The Last Stand and just kind of like doubled down on them too. Like let's throw in a bunch of characters like that were some of them were not even gonna like really set up and then not really give any payoff to. And then like some of the most random casting that I was saying before we before we start recording, I was just went off on this. Like we have Will I Am just playing a random member of the team there, and I actually think that he's like one of the better like characters because he actually portrays his character a little bit more faithful than some of the other portrayals of the character too. So it's pretty wild, like some of the stunt casting in this. But yeah, to another point, one thing when I was watching this movie again, it was just like, God damn. Wolverine never has a bad hair day in this movie. Like this is the movie where like his hair is like the most like luscious and pretty that it is. He doesn't have like the crazy Wolverine cut that we end up seeing in the other movies. And I'm like, if this is early on in his life, like why did he end up switching hairstyles if his hair looks so good here? Like every single action scene decision with him feels like it was made like let's make a scene where like when he's running in slow mo, his hair looks amazing. Like when he's freeing all the kids from the cage and he's just like, but his hair just like just flowing and it's so good. And every time when he's flying on the helicopter and all that, like every single shot, it never gets messy. I was astonished by that. So yeah, that it's so funny to me. That's all I could really pay attention to. This movie was like the CGI on the blades is horrible, but dang, his hair just never just gets messy. It's crazy. It's a shampoo commercial, but for Wolverine. But again, then also this movie really emphasizes to me how badly Wolverine needed to be a rated R movie. Like even in the past X-Men movies, like he stabs people and then like we don't really see any kind of like gore or anything like that, but like it's portrayed in a way that looks like painful enough. Like here, he's slicing people up, he's getting sliced up, and then when they pull the blades out, they're just clean and empty. And like sometimes they have to like hide the shot to make it seem like they cleaned a bloody blade, but they're never gonna show you. But I was like, oh my gosh, like come on, just quit blue balling me here on the Wolverine bloody scenes. Like you're gonna see him like cutting off limbs and such. And it's like I think the only time he got a taste of that was in X3 when he's cutting off that one dude's arm that kept growing back.
Yeah.
Then you had to kick him in the balls. But like, no, we wanted to see like a real hardcore Wolverine. He does a lot of screaming in this for sure, a lot of painful screaming. And I think that's what he does a great job at. But yeah, with the fact that those blades just never got dirty with all the stabbing that happened in this movie was just wild to me.
There's special metal where the blood just goes away right away. So they're always clean.
Yeah.
Soon as
and I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima right now too, and I just think of every time after the battle when you get to like kind of wipe the blade off your or blood off your blade, and just like, come on, man, just give me something cool like that.
But anyway, you want to get to some takeaways?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome! All right, I'm gonna kick off takeaways with another thing that I really enjoyed about this movie, and I would have liked to have seen more of. Actually, and it's kind of towards the beginning. It's right after we get like kind of Sabertooth or Victor and his Jimmy at the time. Right after they leave, we kind of get this kind of series of them going through all of the major wars in history type of thing.
Yeah, the opening montage, basically.
Yeah, that war montage. I thought that was really cool, and it glosses over it so quickly. It's just
that should have been the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of keeps showing how, like, obviously, you know, they're living through all of these major, like, global events, but also they're participating in all of these wars and stuff like that. But yeah, as a montage, it was awesome. But I would have loved to have seen if they had paused more in these like scenes that we got, because it was like they were all major moments, and I just thought it would have been a little bit cooler if we got like a couple of minutes in each one of them type of thing to kind of, you know, show them, you know, rescuing someone or winning or turning the tides in a part or something like that. We just get like snapshots really quick, like of them, running when other people are getting gunned down or or blown up
Running
or
through time, yeah,
yeah, basically.
basically. But it's also like we get like just like basically a quick like maybe 2 minute moment of Logan getting his actual powers too, because
Yep.
he's shown as like a sickly boy basically, and then of course he gets his powers after his father is shot, and then he heals up and he gets the bone claws. Like I would have liked to see him deal more with those powers like at a younger age too, like get a little bit
Yeah.
more younger Logan. And then also again, yeah, going through time like that, like him and Victor's relationship, I want to see that develop a little bit. Like obviously we see them growing together through multiple generations, but then of course we have to just establish that like they have this close relationship because of that.
Yeah, exactly. But Rico, what were some of your takeaways from this movie?
Man, there's yeah. So like you, there's a couple things in this that I do love about the movie, and one of them to me is Lee Schreiber as Sabertooth. I think he's fantastic in that role, and I think he really is like for me, he's the true highlight of the movie because every single time he's on screen, he's actually like kind of scary, and he does a great job in like that villain role.
Yeah.
And the chemistry between him and Hugh Jackman is just fantastic. I think those two actors just bounced off each other really well. I would have, and as much as I prefer the look of Tyler Maine's Sabretooth from the first X-Men movie, I think that's a little more true to the
Right.
Sabretooth I feel like we know. I really like love Lee Schreiber, like kind of like that like clean suited look of his, and then just kind of like pretty subtle with like the teeth and the claws. I really like that. Then because then he's just kind of able to like kind of to hide most of the people a little bit more clearer. Like he doesn't stand out as much. I think it makes him a little more scary. And I remember seeing that like they were planning to bring him back for Logan, and I think that would have been cool to see those characters come back for Logan, like as
Oh
more like that
wow.
kind of yeah. I think I'm almost I love the whole like kind of Logan clone thing that ends up being the thing that defeats Logan, but I think if they came back and made it Sabretooth, it would have been a cooler like story. And I think yeah, I think Sabretooth is another character that we need to kind of see come back in some form. We heard some things about Tyler May possibly, but I would love to see Lee Schreiber kind of tackled this role again in some form, especially like an MCU version of it, because he's just a fantastic actor, and I think it's kind of interesting he hasn't really crossed over into like this more modern comic book movie realm release, or even like Star Wars, something like that. Like I love Lee Schreiber as an actor, and I think he actually kind of killed it with this role here.
Yeah. Just when you were describing that, like, and talking about how there were like rumblings of him potentially coming back for Logan.
Mhm.
What if they had done the callback of go back to back, and they have fought the Logan clone, like, and Logan clone, like, obviously, like, they both lose type of thing. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, what if they did the callback and they go back to back, like, type of thing. Like,
They could
that
have
would,
done another callback too,
oh
where you go when Logan goes, "I'm gonna cut your goddamn head off." So we could have actually seen what that effect could have been in a movie
yeah,
like Logan, surprisingly. So yeah, I think that's a really cool like what could have been
yeah,
as far as like the Logan verse, because this is technically like the first of like a trilogy when it comes to Logan to Wolverine. So unfortunately, but yeah, man. I want more Lee Schreiber. I think I just thought like, man, I forgot how like much I enjoy watching him on screen. Even though I never got to watch Ray Donovan when I was on, that was on for a long time too on
yeah.
Showtime. I just never got around to watching it, but I really enjoy him in like these film roles.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. He's kind of like he makes a good villain because he's got like that wild card type of thing. Like, you don't really know, even if when he's on that team and they're doing stuff, you don't really know if you can control him. Like, he's
Mhm.
totally into just like, I'm gonna kill everybody type of thing, like, at all times. So, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? At any second, and Logan even like knows it because he'll like yell at him when he knows he's about to do it, type of thing. Like, so he's like that wild card energy it makes for a good kind of villain presence.
You know who it reminds me of is the late Ray Stevenson, who was Balin Skull in Ahsoka. I think they kind of played a lot of similar roles. I think these kind of like well dressed men who could be like assassins if they wanted to, basically, and like almost like a mob assassin or something like that. And yeah, I think he kind of gives me that little bit of a vibes too. So I think this, yeah, I kind of want to see him a little bit of some of those bigger roles like that.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you want to get to some predictions? Question mark.
Yeah.
Awesome. Working title predictions? Question mark. Why don't you kick these off?
Okay. So again, when we do these predictions, it's kind of like what we think is going to be kind of called back maybe in Deadpool and Wolverine. And I think what's interesting about this movie is that one, it's what we were saying, it's the first time like these two characters were on the same screen together. First
Yeah.
off, and it's also been referenced like to death, I think, in the first Deadpool movies already. So it's almost like what could they kind of mine from this well that that they haven't really kind of like done a cool reference to yet. And the one of the things I thought of, what I think was really great when I was watching this, and this is also because I just saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and this guy was really great as the
Mm.
Proxima Caesar character too, and seeing the TikToks of him as the ape guy, but Kevin Durant as Fred Duke, aka Blob, is like he's just so great in this. He's just a great character actor. I think I've seen him in movies throughout the past, going back to like Butterfly Effect and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
But yeah, he's just kind of like someone that you've seen sprinkled into these little roles, and like you don't realize how much like you enjoy him in those roles. And then he's Smoking Aces too. He's really great in that. But like
Mm.
yeah, but I think he's a terrific actor, and I would like to kind of see them cast. If they brought back the Fred Duke character, I'd like to see him come back and do it, and just kind of like I want to see like what they can do with the blog character, and just maybe an MCU form, maybe, or even what they would just do in Deadpool Wolverine as kind of like a one-off joke. Blob does show up again, I think later on in Apocalypse, when they have like a fighting ring going on. He's someone that just kind of like you just gonna see him for a little bit,
Mm.
but no one like really special really plays him. But I think the way they kind of handle him here, where he's kind of like he's part of the team and he's like pretty jacked, but he likes to eat. But after like the events that happen, he kind of goes like crazy with it, and that's what turns him into the Blob. But I
Right.
like the practical effects of the Blob in this one too. But the way they kind of mix it in when he's doing the boxing match, and he's just kind of like absorbing the punches. And I thought he was really funny, and just kind of like the banter between him and Logan was really great. So that's actually one character I really would like to see come back, other than Lee Schreiber as Sabertooth. But yeah, those two for me I really enjoy a lot. I like Dominic Monaghan as Bradley too. I thought I think it was, that's the team assemble here has a really good little ensemble of actors, but and so there's a lot of like little characters that you can kind of bring back like a little one-off cameo.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I mean, kind of just going right off of that, and another, you know, small, I guess at this point we almost call it a cameo in this movie is we got Gambit. Like very
He kind of
short.
plays a little bit of a small role, yeah, and then you get like
Yeah.
gets a little surprise appearance at the end, which is pretty wild, like out of nowhere.
But we actually got like a demonstration of his powers with cards. Like I thought that was awesome. Like having him like
Yeah.
you
I would
know
like a little more emphasis on like the pink energy, I thought, because I think
Yeah.
they kind of like had like it was just kind of like outlining, and then like boom, like what are they doing with the CGI budget, man? Like
Yeah.
where are they picking and choosing these things?
like I'll take any win I can get in this movie. But I did appreciate that, and I liked how we kind of had them working together a little like on a very small level. I did really enjoy that, and so I kind of know that there are rumors that if we see a Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine, it's going to be Channing Tatum's
A long-awaited Channing Tatum version.
Gambit. Yeah. But I just think it would be funny if like we see Channing Tatum and then like they make some joke and go, "Wait, you're not Gambit." Like, you know what I mean? And then they bring
Yeah.
out the real
I was gonna say, in the void, they could have two Gambits in there,
Right.
technically, if they wanted to, and like even if they did, like, no, you're not him, but one of them they both are him. They
Right.
could do this Spider-Man moment for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that would be a really funny. Like, we're talking about like just like throwaway jokes, throwaway moments, because they're. I mean, I think the underlying subplot of Deadpool and Wolverine is that the 20th Century Fox universe is going away, and so
Mhm.
like we're gonna see a lot of the properties. I know some of the set photos, behind the scenes set photos we've seen, like the 20th Century Fox emblem is all on like destroyed and
yeah.
on the ground and stuff. So there's gonna be a lot of throwaway jokes like that, and I just think that would be a fun way to incorporate this Gambit character. And yes, I mean, there were always all of these like talks of Channing Tatum's gonna play Gambit next, and so like I
Yeah, it
still
was a
think
movie that they tried to make for a long time and just never got off the ground, which is crazy.
right. So I still think it would be funny if we bring him in, because like that's one of the things that have been kind of not spoiled, because obviously we don't know if it's true or not, but just one of the rumors, I guess, so far is that we're going to see an appearance of Channing Tatum as Gambit, but it would be really funny if that's the joke. Like they say, wait, you're not Gambit. And then we get the
Taylor
Gambit
Kitsch
actor.
shows up.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that would be really funny. And it would be a funny way to both like to give everybody, like get a little bit for everybody in that part. So
yeah, I didn't mind Taylor Kitsch's Gambit in this. I remember like people like don't love it as much, but like when I hear him speak, and I remember again because I'm always gonna go back to X-Men '97 just because it's so fresh in the brain. But when I hear him speak, I'm like, I hear like he's trying to do it. Like he's definitely trying to invoke Gambit in that, and I'm like, I would have liked to see him fleshed out a little bit more. And I feel like Taylor Kitsch kind of got dicked over by Holly a little bit because of the whole like John Carter bomb thing. And then like that just kind of killed his whole momentum as a leading guy or just kind of a movie star in general. But I would like to like he'd be a cool little redemption kind of cameo, kind of see him kind of do that role again for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And getting to see the powers displayed. Maybe like again, I always look at these movies as an opportunity, like when a character isn't done the way we were expected to see them. Like you want to give like a nice little display of their powers in a true fashion.
Yeah, absolutely. So just like we said, good, the bad, the ugly. But as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. Have you watched X-Men Origins Wolverine lately? And will you be revisiting it before you get to Deadpool and Wolverine? And, you know, what is, if you have, let's put a big asterisk there. If you had, like, what is the shining moment from this movie that you enjoy during your rewatch? And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Popping Off presents That Recap Show.